Good morning, my plant-loving friends. Welcome to your Daily Plant Pulse, a podcast-styled series rooted in my deep fascination with plants. Here, plants go through a plant pulse research protocol where we uncover fascinating insights from scientific studies and share them with you. All studies I review are sourced in the description. I'm not a doctor, just someone who loves to research plants and present what I find. Our 9-part series takes you from an introduction to the plant through amazing studies and even an occasional bonus episode. Be sure to check out our Plant Pulse playlist where all of our episodes on all plants will be. And when a plant profile review is complete, explore our Living Library playlist for an in-depth consolidated review. We dig deep into history, forgotten studies, and untold stories so plants can have a voice and their story can be told. Welcome to episode 4, where we explore the many harvests plants provide to support our lives. We'll focus on the essentials, food, medicinal uses, structural materials, and more. Along the way, you'll see how plants shape not just our daily lives, but the world around us. So let's get digging. So most Dioscorea yams are ready 8 to 12 months after planting. The leaves will start to naturally yellow and die or dry back. Vines begin to wilt. Harvesting too early can produce underdeveloped, low-starch tubers. Harvesting too late increases the risk of rot or pests, especially if you have soil that is going to be waterlogged as it cools off. So to harvest tubers is a pretty simple process. You use a digging fork, spade, or a hoe, and you want to avoid sharp tools that can pierce tubers, and be careful while you're doing it. You're going to loosen the soil around the plant at least 12 to 18 inches from the base to avoid cutting the tuber, and just carefully lift the tuber from the soil. Handle gently. Yams bruise easily, which shortens storage life and also resprouting if, it's bruised bad enough. And afterwards, remove small soil clumps, but don't wash the tuber immediately. Moisture can encourage rot. If tubers are very long or heavy, consider harvesting in sections to prevent breakage. Next, you're going to want to cure the tuber. Curing allows the yam skin to thicken, and minor injuries will heal during this time, which extends the storage life of the yam. Place the tubers in a dry, shaded, well-ventilated area and avoid direct sunlight. You're going to want to allow 3 to 5 days for curing, or up to 7 days in humid climates, but ensure there is supple air circulation. Stacking tubers directly on top of each other can trap moisture and promote rot and pests. For storage of your yams, you're going to want to keep them at 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 13 to 16 degrees Celsius for long-term storage. Avoid refrigeration. Fresh tubers, it can cause them damage. As far as humidity goes, 60 to 70% is okay. Too low can cause dehydration, and too high causes mold and rot. If you want to put the tubers in containers, make sure you use ventilated crates, baskets, or slated boxes. Avoid sealed plastic bags or totes that don't allow airflow. Inspect your tubers regularly. You are going to want to make sure they're not developing soft spots, rot, or sprouting. Remove affected tubers immediately to prevent spreading, especially if there is rot developing. Properly cured and stored yams can last 3 to 6 months, typically. Smaller or secondary tubers can stay in the ground for the next season, and just avoid replanting in the same soil once you have harvested to reduce pest and disease buildup. Check for tuber weevils and nematodes during your harvest, and remove damaged tubers to help protect healthy ones. And if you do find pests like that, do not compost any parts of them, or else you'll be facing issues with them in the future. Avoid harvesting right after heavy rain to prevent soil from sticking excessively and increasing the risk of rot. Dioscorea yams are a valuable source of starch, which can be processed into flour, tapioca-like products, or industrial starch for adhesives, textiles, and even biodegradable packaging. In addition, yam starch can be fermented into local specialty foods. Selecting tubers for processing, you'll only want to process fully mature tubers to maximize starch content. Avoid tubers that are bruised, rotting, or infested. Some species of Dioscorea have higher starch content, so research your local variety for optimum yield. I've also included some resources in the description regarding harvesting yams, so take a look. There are different studies on applications and their processes. So, preparation, you're going to want to remove soil and debris, clean and peel the tubers to eliminate outer skin, which can contain impurities or bitterness. Tubers are grated then into a fine pulp. You can use manual graders, mechanical shredders, or food processors can be used depending on the scale and what you have available. After that, you'll mix grated yam pulp with clean water in a large container. Stir thoroughly so starch separates from the fibers. Allow the mixture to settle for several hours. Starch sinks to the bottom while fibers remain suspended. And carefully decant the water and fibers, keeping the starch sediment settled on the bottom. You're going to want to repeat this process if necessary for higher purity. You can rinse and settle 2 to 3 times, doing this to the yam fibers that you have grated. After that, you'll want to spread the wet starch into a thin layer in a clean, shaded, well-ventilated area. Sun drying is possible in sunny climates, but avoid direct, harsh sunlight to prevent discoloration or other issues of degradation. Mechanical drying, oven drying, or dehydrator can speed up the process. Now for storage, you're going to want to store it in an airtight, moisture-free container. Keep it in a cool, dry place to prevent mold and insect infestation. If properly dried and stored, yam starch can last 6 to 12 months depending on the storage conditions. So if you would like to produce flour, after drying, the starch can be milled into a fine flour for baking or thickening. Some communities soak grated yam to ferment for traditional foods, such as fufu or yam-based alcoholic beverages. And in industrial uses, the flour is even used in adhesives and glues, in biodegradable packaging, and paper and textile industries as well. To maximize starch yields, use freshly harvested tubers. Starch content declines over time. Avoid bruising them, and during harvest to prevent microbial contamination, use clean water throughout the process to maintain quality, especially if producing food-grade starch. Filter out fibers completely if producing starch for industrial purposes to ensure smooth textures. Another harvest is vines and shoots. There's not a lot of uses for them, but you can use them for animal feed, compost, or craft material if you so wish. Keep in mind, if you're harvesting the vines while the tuber hasn't quite bulked up yet, then you're basically sacrificing the tuber for animal feed. So you're going to want to balance that out and keep an eye on when you're harvesting and what your goals are. And as far as harvesting seeds, there's the bulbils on the plants themselves. In the fall, you can harvest the seeds in order for propagation or even for animal feed. Basically, you're going to want to harvest them when the vine has reached maximum maturity, and basically just remove each bulbil from the vine and collect them. You can harvest cuttings, but keep in mind when you're taking cuttings, you're going to want to take cuttings during the May-June timeframe. So, because that's the optimal time to propagate the plant. So it has time for roots to develop and for survival throughout the next year, the next growing season. It'll be very difficult for a fall vine to try and survive. With careful timing, gentle handling, and proper curing, your harvested yams are now ready for storage or transformation. Whether you're saving them for food, seed, or starch extraction, these post-harvest steps protect your yield and preserve its value. But the story doesn't end with the tuber. Today's plant pulse on harvesting may be wrapping up, but the learning doesn't stop here. Each episode helps us deepen our understanding of the plants we work with and how to get the most from them. I'm grateful you joined me on this journey. Thank you so much for being here. Please share your thoughts in the comments. What techniques or insights stood out to you? What would you like to explore next? If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss what's coming next. And until next time, let every harvest teach us something new. The pulse continues.